Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the pod. Happy International Women's Day. So, in light of International Women's Day, I'll be doing a mini series where I'll be sitting around with women in the tech industry across different roles. So, talking to people from engineering to management to leadership to highlight their stories and learn from their experiences and get their advice for women who are looking to get into the tech industry. Today, my guest for the podcast is the lovely Alex Okun. So, hello, Alex. How's it going?
Hi, going well. Thank you for having me.
So I guess we can start off. You can just give a quick summary on what you do. You can talk to the people.
Sure. So my name is Alex. Thank you for saying that. And I'm senior engineer manager at Microsoft. I'm leading a team of 7 great engineers and in the area of Azure Communication Service and more specifically ACS Room Service. I am co-chair for Women at Microsoft Vancouver chapter. I am leading a series of leadership, career, and everything in between initiative and ACS group. And I'm taking a part in the virtual team for diversity and inclusion, which is part of the ACS is the best place to work in.
Sounds good. So I guess we'll get right into it. So the first thing I wanted to ask you is to share your experience. And specifically what I want to know is how has being a woman impacted your personal journey in the tech industry? Both negatively and positively?
To be honest, I think I was very lucky. I grew up in countries, or maybe just in the cities, that I could have examples of women being technical, women being in leadership position, and I think it sets such a good example for me. Ask about negative and positive. I think the negative side that I was seeing is that there is a lot of competition going on between women, especially in the higher positions. And I think the reason for that was because there was just not a lot of opportunities. And I think it's changing with time, and we see more and more women actually being to position of CEOs and just great leaders. And I think it just sets an additional great example for us as women that we can achieve that. We can do those things and we can do it greatly as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's the positive aspect of that, the shift that's actually happening. And on a more personal side, for the question, how it's impacted me, I think, I don't know, the only person who actually stopped me was me, myself, and my own doubt and what I can do and what I can achieve. And in that sense, I think I was just very lucky.
Yeah. And I guess before we get any further, can you quickly walk through your career journey? So I remember you mentioned once to me that you started off as a full stack engineer. So can you just walk the people through your journey, how you, what were you doing when you got started and how your career progressed?
Well, actually, my career started way earlier. Because I was raised in Israel, I went to military, and I got very lucky because I got to be in the computer school in the military, and I was teaching, which was Office in that time. It was a long time ago, so people actually was not really familiar with that. And I was teaching Office, and later on I was teaching everything related to servers, like Exchange, like basic admins and things like that, and I absolutely loved it. Through that, I got my first job outside of military, and I worked for Ministry of Defense of Israel for about 2.5 years in Israel itself, and was again teaching some internal project there, and lately just joined the IT team and was doing some small development project on Access and things like that. After that, I moved to Berlin, and I continued working for Ministry of Defense, just in a different country. And basically there I was just responsible for their IT, and it was just helping to support anyone who was there. And it was absolutely fun.
Yeah.
Only after that, I actually came back to Israel, did a computer science degree, and in my second semester joined SAP and started as a performance engineer. And did that, I think, for about 2 years or something like that. And then become a developer and just moved to that role. And I started as what you mentioned, basically as a client-side developer. I absolutely loved it. I enjoyed each bit of it because I think I really liked photography as well at the same time. So it was just very connected for me. And after 6 years in SAP, I moved to Canada, Vancouver, and joined a different project that was related to analytics. And that's basically was the project that we're running in Vancouver. And slowly moved from being a client-side developer to a full-stack developer. And I think the new project that came along as well for analytics was more on cloud. So that was my first exposure to running on cloud and do things related to that. And after 6 years, actually a little bit before that, 5 years, I started leading the team. And that point was a team of 10, if I recall properly. I did it for about a year or so. And after that, took a little bit of a break for myself, just to think what I want, and joined Microsoft about 2 and a bit years ago. And manager since then.
Nice. That's so you experienced the full spectrum from engineer to.
I have.
Well, I
yeah,
guess.
A very, very interesting way to get to where I got to. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess on that note, we can connect this maybe to like your personal journey to a higher picture. So what do you think are like some of the biggest challenges perhaps that you faced and you think that other women face in the tech industry?
I think the biggest challenge in that way that I'm seeing is coming from both ways. One is the people around us, whoever it is. It doesn't matter if it's school or if it's, I don't know, your first manager or something like that. It doesn't really matter. Or your culture that telling you that you're not good enough to do something, or you're not capable of doing that because you're a woman, because something. And in some point, we maybe start to believing that. If we're hearing that enough times, whatever it is, in this case, it's very negative, but if we're going to hear it enough times, we actually will start to believing that we cannot do that. Mm-hmm. And the second part of that is our own beliefs. Are we believing that we are capable of achieving great things and maybe do something different than others around us doing? It doesn't matter, actually, women or men, just doing something very different. And it's a very, unique combination. If you're getting those two together, you can, on one hand, achieve great things if people are very supportive and encourage you to do great things. And it can bring you down as well if all your surrounding is telling you otherwise. And you need to be a very, very strong person to think differently about yourself once everyone else is, telling you you're not good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, I guess coming to the next question, one thing I want to ask you is who are some of the women that you like in the tech space that you admire, and why do you admire them? Like any woman that you look up to in the tech industry specifically?
It's a very good question, and I think it was, in general, I was thinking about this question a few weeks ago, and I don't have a particular name in mind. Not because they're not out there. It's just because there are so many. And I just mainly personally admire women that, bold, that they're not defined by their fears. And it just, instead of that, they're bringing something very unique to the table. No. And it doesn't matter what's the role or what they do.
Yeah, I guess this expands like just the tech industry in specific. This applies like anywhere. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Well, I guess so. On that note, talking about like say women being bold, bringing something new to the table, what advice would you give to say a young woman or even women who are in their mature years but are looking to like get into the tech industry in specific? Like, what are some of the advice that you would give them?
For me personally, it's obviously going to be different for anyone, but create a support around you that will cheer you up, that will help you grow in the most positive way, and have mentors for yourself, have coaches, have even friends that will support you and will cheer you up. I think it's really hard to do it on your own. And no matter how far you in your career, you're just starting up or, you're 30 years into it, there is always something else to learn. There is always ways to improve. And having a very good network around you can help you do that and can help you not just with their support, but actually can help you with showing you your blind spots, can show you even the ways how some of the things that you're doing can be done even better. And I think that's very important, and it's so much more fun when you have additional people that you can trust and that will actually have the best intention for you. Okay,
so I guess on this note of giving women advice, is there any resources at Microsoft that are available for women? So like any networking opportunities or any scholarships or any something?
Of course. I'm less familiar with scholarships, but there's a lot of initiatives happening actually in Microsoft, and it will be different for each location, geographical locations. Mm-hmm. If we're talking about Vancouver, first of all, you're always welcome to join the Women at Microsoft group. And the whole goal of that group is actually create better connection between women and create a very supportive environment and make sure that women thriving, like and just not just in Vancouver, obviously, but just in Canada and kind of in any other place. That's one. This is just for create connection, meet other people, which can create great opportunities for you in other organizations or whatever you're searching for. There's a lot of options for mentoring, as actually finding a mentor for yourself or being a mentor for others as well. And you can just sign up in the website, just search for one and search for mentoring there, and you can sign up for one another. There are a lot of opportunities to mentor other women in the industry through Microsoft. One of the things I did, it's not the only one, is Empower, which is a program for people who shifting gears and want to shift more to the technical industry. And Microsoft running a program of mentorship for those people. And I had a great opportunity to mentor twice already, and it was absolutely a blast to do so. And there's courses as well that you can take for coaching. And again, you can find through that coaches for yourself, and you can coach others. Diversity and inclusion, that's something that you can find in our Connect already, and it can walk you through the specific courses that you can take if that's the first time you've been exposed to that, or it's the first time you've been exposed to understand what bias means. And I think we all should refresh our mind all the time about that. To additional initiatives that you can, take part of, or just learn from, whatever you choose. Yeah. Even in ACS, we have, as I mentioned before, being part of the diversity and inclusion team as well. And this is literally one of the things we're looking at: how can we make sure that people feeling more inclusive, even in a group as ACS.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So everyone, for the people watching, I'll have all the links about all the resources Alex mentioned down in the description below, so you guys can check it out. So on the note of, you mentioned diversity and inclusion, I guess I wanted to talk to about this a bit more. So why do you think like diversity and inclusion is important? Like, why do you think a company should strive for a diverse workforce? Like, why do you think that is important?
No, I think life might be very boring if we all be the same. And would never do any progress as most creative ideas came from people that were thinking differently, that were more creative or just creative in a different way. And as I mentioned before, just being fortunate to live in different places, I think it forced me to be exposed to different cultures, to be exposed to different thinking, to be exposed to different behavior, to different values even. Each one of those countries actually standing for something else. And there's no one culture or one thinking is absolutely better than the other or worse than the other. They all have a place. And if you're thinking about the business aspect of it, if we all gonna think the same, we're only gonna target a very specific, narrow group of people that probably will be aligned with what we think and how we think. And we're gonna miss everyone else. Not sure that's the best strategy for businesses. But on a personal note, I think it makes our life way more rich, more expensive, more abundant, and honestly, so much more fun to have the diversity.
Yeah. No, I think you mentioned that like traveling to different places. I think that's an important one as well, because that has been like my experience. Because I've lived like a third of my life in Pakistan, third of my life in Saudi Arabia, and third now here in Canada. So just getting that exposure, it's like you're at an advantage compared to people who have only lived in one place, because you've experienced so much of like different people, how they think, their language, and so on. So that's always a plus point. Yeah.
Exactly, and especially if you're talking about just Canada, right? Vancouver, it has so much diversity in just one place, and I met people from Pakistan, from Iran, and from other countries that I, for example, living in Israel, had never had the opportunity to be exposed to, right? And never had the opportunity to talk to them and exchange ideas and, working in the same team. So I think that's kind of the fun part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and just to give you guys a bit of context as well, when Alex said working in the same team, so Alex is currently my manager in the team I work in, so just to give some context there. So I guess moving on, one thing I wanted to know is like your personal vision. Like, what do you hope to see in terms of the progress for women in tech? Like, what is your ideal vision that you like want to see?
You know what? It's a tough question. I don't think my answer is specifically about KPIs or anything like that. It's more about the thinking behind it, or the feeling that women have. And it is, I would love to see more women know that they deserve the promotion. They deserve the new project they're getting. They deserve to lead something big and great. And I would love, and I'm absolutely taking me as part of that, I would just love to invest the energy in thinking in how to get the best of that project, again, opportunity, instead of focusing on, am I good enough? And do I deserve to be there? I think that's going to be the biggest progress in my opinion.
So I guess that's individual progress, like on the individual side. Like what in terms of like companies, like maybe changing the attitudes of like organization companies, what would you suggest there? Like, what are some of the things you think that they would need to do to accelerate this?
I think we need to remember that each one of us, not specifically women, but men, need a different environment to thrive. And obviously, the company cannot create a unique environment for each person. But I think one of the greatest things that Microsoft is doing, it is really putting a lot of effort and thinking on how to create an environment of growth mindset, which helps everyone, not just women, but helps us to be able to fail and still be okay after that and just learn from the mistakes. And I think that's actually what defines people and how they behave after they failed.
Yeah.
And it creates an environment in which it's easier to speak up for us. It's easier to express our opinion because we're not being judged by, how many times you were right or how many times you were wrong. And it is just creating a very collaborative environment for everyone. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very frustrating to always think, am I the smartest person in the room? If whatever I'm saying right now is the best idea ever, it's hard and it's not sustainable. And I don't think that should be the way. So just having the right environment, for me, the growth mindset is the really right direction to go with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess talking about growth mindset, can you just like quickly, maybe like in a line or two, summarize what that is? Because that is one of Microsoft's like core initiative or like a core thing that they're promoting, so like within the organization. So growth mindset, like, can you like summarize that? Like, what exactly is this type of mindset that people can have?
I heard different definitions for those, and one, I would highly recommend the book Growth Mindset. I think it should be a must read for every person. Yeah. And it will completely change the trajectory of my life if I would read it way earlier. But I would say, I love the definition that actually Scott Leon gave once, and he said, it's sometimes great to look on the opposite of it and see what does it mean. If the opposite of growth mindset is fixed mindset, is basically saying, whatever I know right now, this is the right things, and I cannot learn new stuff. My talent is everything I have, and if I have it, I have it. If I don't, I don't. And there's no way of creating a progress in any area. And it's all fixed and it's all given. Mm-hmm. And from that, if I'm looking on the growth mindset, is literally exactly the opposite. It's everyone can learn new skills, can do better in whatever they're doing. And we just need to put the effort, and talent is not everything. It's a good starting point, but if you're not evolving that, it's gonna get you nowhere. And I think the biggest thing that I learned from that is to be more forgiving. It's forgiving to others for, let's say, the mistakes they're doing. And actually, the biggest one is to be more forgiving for myself. And when I'm not the best or whatever it is in that area, and just to say, like, it's okay, just read something for another hour, right? Or just practice something for like 10 minutes a day, and you will get better in that in the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a one sentence explaining what's going on.
No, that's good. I guess just to wrap it up, I wanted to know, so in honor of International Women's Day, what message would you have to not just women in tech, but just women around the world? And this could be like something inspirational, something motivational, or anything. So this is like a super open question. So like what message would you have?
Have passion. Be bold. Believe that you can do it. It doesn't mean that you will never fail. But I think you will be defined by what you do after that. And just trust yourself. Be creative and support other women around you. We do need those great minds, and we need them to thrive.
Yeah, no, that's a really good way of saying it. Like you're defined by what you do after failing. I think that's a really good quote. So yeah, well, thank you so much, Alex, for joining me today. I had a super fun time talking with you, and I hope you guys had as well, listening to our conversation. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought of it. And to all the women out there, happy International Women's Day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.